How the first 2 days of practice been going?
First 2 days have been great. Great 2 days. Offense is clicking. Only 2 days in, the offense is doing very well. Everyone's coming together. It's been great first 2 days so far.
You seem really excited.
Excited.
This is like
going into spring. Number one. It's great. I'm very comfortable where I am. I'm very comfortable with the offense, the team. So.
Well, from the Oregon loss to, I don't know, what's that, 3 months or 2.5 months to now, what were those 2.5 months like for you as far as preparing for yesterday?
This offseason, the fourth quarters, I'd say this team had a different mentality from last year's fourth quarters to this year's. We had a lot more focus, a lot more detail, because I think that's what ultimately ended up catching up to us towards the end of the season was the attention to detail, and that was the main focus this offseason, and we're going to try to continue that this spring.
Someone asked Jimbo about this, and everybody talks about how Jameis was such a vocal leader and was so charismatic. What about you? You being the backup, people didn't really kind of see what type of leader you were, but are you in that same boat, or how might you be different in that regard?
There's different types of leadership, but I'd say both. A mixture of both. You gotta pick and choose. Who you could be vocal to. That's for sure. Especially dealing with young guys, because sometimes they might get down on themselves. But I am vocal, but at the same time, I also like to lead by example.
Everybody's asked questions about whether spring practice kind of feels different out there this year without Jameis and kind of with a different set of expectations. I guess it must feel different for you without Jameis, right?
It's different, but it's still football. It's still our offense. It's still Coach Fisher and same system, just a couple of different faces out there.
Sean, are you prepared for a long, I don't think Jimbo's going to come out no matter what he believes and tell everybody, here's our starting quarterback. Is this something you're prepared that could go, through into August and be ready for that, expecting that kind of competition to just keep going maybe till the season starts?
Yeah, I'm not worried about when or when not Coach Fisher's going to make his decision, but I can't affect anything that I do on the field. I got to go out every day, whether he announces or doesn't announce, and I have to practice and play the same way.
2 years ago, you came in here and with Jameis and Clint and Jacob were also here, and you told us that you believe that you could still compete for this job and be the guy to have it. Does it kind of feel surreal that 2 years later you're the only one here and you're first in line?
Yeah, 2 years ago was I think I've learned so much from 2 years springs ago to now. I got to see Jameis, Clint, and Coker play. Take a little bit from each of them, and EJ even when my freshman year when I was here. I think you got to look at that as a positive. Being in a room, that quarterback room, watching them on the field, four quarterbacks. Look what Clint did at West Virginia, and Jake probably starting at Alabama. So it's been great.
Sean, does this feel like your team now?
Yes, I believe so.
How do you see guys responding to you, maybe differently than in the past? Do you see any difference?
All the receivers, Bobo, Travis, Erman, they respect me. I respect them. Dalvin, they listen to me. They see me as the leader out there.
What's it like? Is that reassuring to you?
Oh yeah, it's great. That's one thing. Those are the guys you got to win over. That's what makes the team click and mesh. And if you can't win your receivers and running backs over, then you got a problem. So it's very reassuring. That adds to my confidence too.
How about your offensive line? Are they winning you over?
Oh yeah, they're young, and Coach Trickett will have them ready. That's for sure. But I'm good friends with all the old linemen. They're all good kids, and they'll be fine.
Sean, how big was playing in that Clemson game for your development and the confidence you were feeling as we sit here today?
Yeah, I agree. I was saying going into a spring, not having maybe that gap, or maybe some coaches, players saying like, oh, how's this kid gonna react in a game? But it adds to my confidence knowing that I already played in a full game against a very good competitor. So going into next season, that adds to my confidence.
What's the best part of being the first one out there to take snaps at quarterback?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
What's the best part of being the first one out there to take snaps at quarterback?
Best part? I don't know. I know you just feel like it's your team more so than being a backup. You still got to prepare and be ready, but it's different knowing that you're the first guy out there, and it's like your team, and those guys have your back. I have theirs.
Sean, you said, okay.
Sorry, what's the hardest part? I don't know, we're 2 practices in. Can I get back to you on that one?
Sean, leading up to that Clemson game, you said all the right things, but now that it's been 6 months or so, what was it like preparing for that game? Were there a lot of nerves? Were there any questions about the job you could have done?
Yeah, I mean, there was nerves. I mean, they were playing a college football game and finding out. Wednesday I was playing half. Friday I was playing a full game. Friday night at 11 o'clock. I mean, I was nervous the day before, but I was nervous in the first quarter a little bit. I mean, it's a whole different speed. You can't simulate that in practice, that's for sure. Especially with the crowd, you got to block it out, and I learned to do that. As the game went on.
Were you always confident in what you were able to do, or even just kind of that first real big game, like, am I able to do this on a big stage?
Yeah, I always knew I could do it. I was like, I know I can do this, but it was more just getting the nerves to take a seat and just play. Exactly.
After the Oregon game, I know, Jameis came to you, gave you a big hug in the locker room. What were some of the things that he said to you?
He just said that, it's your team now, stay in the film room, lead these guys, they'll follow you, and it's your time, pretty much.
This 7-on in the first 2 days of practice, what have you seen from your wide receivers?
I mean, I love all of those. I love Bobo, Travis, Ehrman, the younger kids, Pig, George's doing well, so I think they're doing great.
So you said that you had a pretty good inclination at the Rose Bowl that Jameis, what he was.
No, I'm not saying anything.
No, I'm trying to get timeline.
No, I don't know. I don't know when or
Well,
how
I guess
Jameis made his
my
decision.
question that I was going to ask before was, did you have an inclination, or were you kind of wondering like the rest of us what that was?
I mean, it's always in the back of my mind. I was always like, oh, what's he going to do? That was the thing. You never knew what James was going to do. So,
You ain't got to tell us.
obviously, after what he said, I had a better idea. But all the rumors, you never know.
And then, how did you get the news that he was leaving? Did you see it?
I mean, I think I woke up one morning and it was all over ESPN.
And what was that moment like? That affected you maybe differently than anybody else in the world?
I mean, I wish the best for Jameis. I mean, I wasn't, either way. I mean, that had nothing. I couldn't control the situation, so I tried not to stress too much about it.
But when you found out?
Oh, I mean, I was excited. I couldn't, obviously, I knew going into the spring and obviously fall that it meant a lot more to me.
John, the receiver last year that came on the most was probably Travis, starting the year as a true freshman, and that's probably the second best threat. Well, talk about how much did you see him get better as the year went along? What was the difference in him? What was the difference in him now than you saw at the start of last year?
Travis from the beginning of last fall to the beginning of this spring is night and day, And I'm not comparing to anyone, but I slowly, see him going towards Rashad, that route. I mean, but he's going to be a great player.
What do you see? What traits do you see in him that you saw that you've seen in Rashad over the years?
I mean, I was here when Rashad was a sophomore, and I think this is going to be Travis' sophomore year, and they're both great players, explosive. They got that fifth gear to go get the ball, and Travis is becoming a leader pretty much every day out there too for everyone on the offense.
Is he vocal? Because he's kind of
he is pretty vocal. He's not gonna yell at you, but he's pumping up everyone on the team. So.
Coach also said that, Rod and Dalvin were speeding up as well. What does it mean, to you that, all these players are trying to take vocal roles and trying to, step up?
It's great. I don't think having a shortage for leaders on the offense was going to be a problem. So, I mean, it's great if you got 5 kids who want to lead the offense and all together. I mean, that's perfect.
Some of the guys that are running with you now in one were guys that were running with you in twos last year, especially on the offensive line. Does that familiarity help at all?
Yeah, I mean, it's very familiar. I was used to, I ran with Chad, Kareem, even Rod for the beginning part of the year, and Hofield and Wilson. So, I mean, I've been running with them. I mean, I'm familiar with them pretty much. So, yeah, it's pretty.
When you get out of practice specifically with those guys, I mean, just as a group to kind of come up together, it's like kind of a cool moment to take over.
Exactly. Just seeing the ones I kept telling, some of them struggled last year. Obviously, we're just like accepting being the 2 role and stuff. I was just like, don't worry, we'll just wait. It'll be our time soon, and So.
How hard is it to wait?
I wouldn't say wait. I was more. I was still playing, had to prepare and practice every single day. So it's not like I was just sitting there with a clipboard during practice. But I took pretty much all the same amount of reps. The only difference was, you didn't get to play on Saturday.
Do you guys kind of have, this kind of like, it's our time kind of mode?
Yeah, exactly. Especially with everyone on the offense being so young.
Sean, to quote Travis, he said that you throw a rocket in practice. I mean, is that just how you throw? I mean, is that something you have to maybe like be a little bit softer with the ball, or is that just how you're going to deliver the football?
Certain throws, but I don't know.
I mean, it's something
No,
they talk about with quarterbacks sometimes to take a little heat off their fastball.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I can sometimes, but sometimes you need to throw that fastball.